Alright, so we're back today with a new video, and yeah, we're doing the review of chapter 1004 One Piece now that the official is out. And I think for me it's the same as always this week. There's not much that's different. Mostly seems to be the same, and I mean, yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a good thing that it's mostly the same. Means that everything we thought before, not too different from now, but there are some things which I've had some thoughts about, and you know, that's what, as always, that's what we'll be getting into. That's what this video will be mainly about. If you want to hear my other thoughts, which would, you know, not make sense to repeat, you can go watch my reaction where I give you other thoughts on, like, you know, almost like everything that's going on down in the chapter panel for panel. But here we're just here to summarize and go through some of these other things. Now, you know, we wondered how Tama got here. It was an enemy ship. And yeah, she came with speed. Makes sense. Now, did I think she came with speed? I don't know why I didn't even like imagine this or think this was a thing. When it totally makes sense. Now, I knew that the way I already suspected that the way she came. I didn't think anything about revolutionaries or something like that. But I suspected that the way she came was, you know, kibidango. And yeah, I mean, okay, by the way, this one says millet dumplings. I like saying kibidango better. It sounds nicer. I have no idea why. But yeah, and also before I forget, guys, if you're here and you haven't subscribed already, please do. Support I've been getting recently, really great. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And you know, if you're not caught up, or you know someone who's not caught up, because I don't know why you wouldn't be at 1004 if you're watching this, but if you know someone who's not caught up, tell them they can watch my videos as well, as long as they always look in the description for a spoiler tag I put there. But yeah, coming back to here, Tama coming to Wano is very interesting because we see her on the ship with speed. She came with speed, and she came with the baboon, I forgot what it's called, the baboon, the samurai baboon, and the Komainu. Yes. And it's interesting because it's kind of like, did Tama come alone based on what happens at the end of the chapter? But yeah, I don't know. I just want to know, like, you know, the circumstances, because this is obviously earlier, because I think it's easy to forget, but Onigashima is flying right now. It's not exactly on the water, or like, it's not exactly anywhere else. It's actually flying right now. So yeah, I'm not really sure where or when Tama came, but it's interesting to see if she came with anyone else, and who else did she come with, and who is roaming around who we haven't seen yet. Yep, yeah. So I think that's just all I'm going to say for Tama right now. And I think, yeah, we'll come back to her kibidangos. But before we come back to that, Nami had a moment of effectiveness, rather, in her attacks against Ulti. And it seems that she said that, you know, she's going to need a bigger lightning. Basically, more voltage, higher voltage if she's going to, you know, take down Ulti or something like that. She implied that. Now, obviously, this kind of probably maybe hints to, you know, her stealing Zeus, which I am not a fan of. I would love Nami to, you know, grow in her own way. I know I made a video about that, which seems to be popular lately. Can someone tell me why that video is getting so popular? Like, it is the most watched video on my channel. I don't know why. I mean, not that I hate it. I love that, but I don't know why it is. So someone please explain that to me. Anyway, I think I've thought of another way in which she doesn't have to steal Zeus and still beat Ulti, because right now Big Mom is kind of upstairs and she's letting it rain with lightning and all that, and with all her attacks. And I think just like the way Nami used kind of like the tempo in this attack as a lightning rod, you know, she used the lightning rod thing where it's like the clouds on the other side. She's got the what is it called? Oh, I can't. Climb attack. There we go. And then the lightning is attracted and she shocks Ulti like that. I think it's possible that she could just steal some of Big Mom's lightning that she's using upstairs without actually stealing Zeus. Of course, Big Mom will be like, what just happened there? Like, why is there like lightning that's like going somewhere else? But I don't think Big Mom will think too much of it. And on top of that, she gets to kind of like steal some of the power and use it for herself. And that would be effective. Of course, they'd have to go outside for this, but I think it's great. I think it's a good enough idea without having her steal Zeus actually. Now, coming to where is this? Coming back to Frankie and Sasaki and everything that went on here, I'm not quite sure how this is gonna go down. I mean, talking about the whole hybrids thing, Sasaki hasn't even used his hybrid form, and he still has that, and Frankie's pulled out his sword, so maybe he might have to, use the hybrid and, match him with the sword, because I don't know, maybe the style of fighting, he's just not good at, facing someone with the sword in his full dinosaur form. So maybe this next chapter, or whenever we see this fight again, is when we're going to see Sasaki turn hybrid. Now, I will say that I don't expect that I don't expect it to be a thing where it's all the ancient Zoans are going to be in a full dinosaur form, and then they're going to after a while go to a hybrid, and then they're going to be defeated in hybrid. I don't think that that's the way it's going to be. I feel like they'll be switching back and forth. Some of them will be defeated in their full dinosaur form, because at the end of the day, hybrid is not de facto the strongest form, right? It depends on your fighting style. What you are strongest at depends on, when you got your food. How used to are you with that food? What other techniques do you have, right? The hybrid form is good if you have human kind of techniques, right? Kind of like swordsmanship or roku shiki, which require you to have a human kind of posture and everything to do the techniques. But if you don't have techniques like that, then, full dinosaur form is kind of like more power, right? So it just depends. That's why I don't feel like for everyone they're just gonna follow that trend. But it may. I'm not saying that no one will follow that trend. I'm just saying it's not necessary going to happen with everyone who's here. But yeah, coming back to Tama and, her turning the tables with her fruit, I think one thing to remember is kind of like the layout of Kaido's army, because there's about 20,000 of them, plus 5,000 Oniwabanshu, plus 5,000 Samurai of Orochi, making 30,000. 30,000 of them are gone already, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as numbers of who's who, if we remove the numbers themselves, if we remove the Tobiropo, Kaido, and the All-Stars, that's less than 50 people. So we can just kind of remove them from 20,000 and it won't really make a dent in the actual numbers of people. But if you think about it, there's about 500 gifters, which was said when Zoro was kind of running around fighting before the raid actually properly started. 500 gifters, 1 in every 10 becomes a gifter, so that's around 4,500 pleasures, making around 5,000 pleasures and gifters in total. So roughly 15,000 waiters in Kaido's army. Now, if we turn the gifters, over to Tama's side, then that would be great, because, that's 500 people. That's 500 extra people for the samurai. But then again, it's only 500. You still have 15,000 people against you. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be up to something else to kind of help them, because we've already had the disguise and the fact that it's a raid that helped them. Tama's Kibidango are coming into play, and that's gonna help them. But I'm guessing they'll need one final push, because the numbers are still vastly against them. So what I believe generally is that we'll probably have the Supernova or something like that who will come and help them. But it may be something else, maybe CP0, maybe another group. I have no idea how they'll do it. Maybe it's a different, plan that will come into play, but maybe Law's crew, right? Law's crew showing up, that may help them. But I think mainly the Supernova, because that could include Law's crew as well. But yeah, that's what I think for the numbers right now, and balancing that out, because that's still something that's outstanding even with Tama's Devil Fruit and Tama being the MVP right now of the whole raid. Even though I don't know why no one ever thought to bring Tama along. I know she's young, but still, 500 enemies turning to your side is a great advantage which you can't pass up, honestly. I don't know why you would ever pass that up. But yeah, moving on to the last two things of the chapter, which I think are, one of the most talked about, two of the most talked about points of the chapter. One being obviously the last one I'll talk about, that is the mystery person, and of course Sanji himself and what's going on with him, which is not a mystery, but I think that what's going on with Sanji is fine. I think that a lot of people view this as bad, and that's probably just based on what you like and what you think is interesting. As someone posted that, Oda doesn't know how to handle Sanji. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just a matter of preference and what you think is alright. Because at the end of the day, people review Oda's stuff, and people who look at it think it's fine, and people who look at it think it's alright. So I don't think the problem is just with what Oda thinks and what Oda wants to go with, right? I think it's just what you personally enjoy, right? Now, if you don't enjoy Sanji being in a situation like this, that's not an issue, right? But at some level, you have to recognize that it's not a bad thing. It's just something that you don't like. So I have no issue. For me personally, when I see Sanji like this, I have no issue with it, right? Because at the end of the day, this is part of who Sanji is, right? And some people be like, okay, you know, why can't he just like not be here, right? He doesn't have to defeat Black Maria, but he can just escape. But I feel like Sanji's a guy who's just like, even if there is a chance that he will kind of in escaping hurt women, then that is, you know, he's not going to take that risk. Sanji's not a guy who's going to risk maybe hurting a woman to do something, right? He's not going to do that. So he'd rather just, you know, stay here, you know, be trapped, and also kind of occupy them so they don't hurt his allies, because he knows Black Maria is a threat to some of his allies at the same time. So he'd rather do that than actually risk hurting them, than, you know, risk having more damage to the rest of them, because he knows obviously from here, it's not like Sanji's going to be injured for like the rest of the arc and he won't be able to fight at all. Like, Sanji can come back after this, especially because he's got the raid suit and everything. So I think for him, he doesn't view this as really an issue, and I don't know why other people view it as an issue anyway, right? Sanji's just being saved for later on. Like, Sanji will have his own moment of greatness. So this is, for me, this is not an issue. I'm fine with this. I'm perfectly alright. And I just like the setup with Robin. Now, is this Robin here with the thing on her face? I'm not quite sure. Although I don't think it is. For the simple reason that what on her face is surveillance, right? It's kind of like, how would you not notice someone tampering with like security cameras, essentially? Because I think it's Bao Huang's route which is helping her see through like all the papers on people's faces. And it's kind of like if Robin attacked one of them, I think Bao Huang would notice, right? Kind of like the way someone in the security room would see you tampering with the cameras. So I don't think it's Robin simply for that reason. Now, I could be wrong and, you know, could find out other stuff about this. But for now, I don't think it's Robin. It just looks a bit similar. Kind of like last chapter with CP0 and that person who was kind of helping them, you know, sitting with them in the room. And it's like, oh, that looks like Robin. No, I don't think it is. I think it's just someone who's like similar. Now, as for the person at the end of this chapter, I think that very clearly, I don't know why in my reaction I was mentioning like all these other names when Hiyori was the most obvious option. And it will also make sense because you could say that's who she came with Tama to the island, because she couldn't have come right now. Main reason being that it's flying. How would Hiyori get up there? But it makes sense that if she came with Tama, you know, the two of them could have, you know, snuck in and she could have kind of met them on the way. Who knows? Maybe she was trying to get to the roof and she stumbled across this room and found them, and she decided to tend to them. Also makes sense. It can't be Fukurokujo or anything like that, because look how small they are in this panel. I think this one also makes it very clear. Very small physique, don't see the long head at all. So it being anyone else doesn't make much sense except for Toki. And I mean, for my wild guess, and for a third option, even Kanjuro. But, you know, Hiyori number one, maybe Toki and Kanjuro, but Hiyori makes the most sense. Have her play her role, have her do a thing. But it's also interesting because this could also lead into some, you know, if Orochi's still alive with Fukurokujo, maybe he wants, you know, revenge. Maybe he wants to settle it with Hiyori, and maybe he comes back. Maybe that's when he comes back instead of just sitting and keeping his mouth shut. And maybe that, you know, becomes a bit confusing for the samurai and Oniwabanshu who are already there, because their leaders are helping him possibly. You know, it'll make the story really interesting, but I'm not sure how this will turn out. But for now, I'm going to go with this is Hiyori. And yeah, these are basically my thoughts for this chapter. As always, guys, please tell me what you think down below. If I missed something, if you think I'm wrong about something as well, let me know that. On Tuesday, I think once again we'll be going ahead having the stream podcast thing majig. I have no idea what to call it yet. Maybe you can give me some ideas for that as well. So yeah, tune in. I will put like a premiere thing so you can know what time it will be wherever you are in the world. As always, guys, like the video if you like the video and subscribe for more content. If you know someone who needs to hear the truth, please share this video with them. If you have time, watch more and more of my other videos. If not, thank you for watching this one all the way to the end, guys. This is King KZ. I'll see you in the next one.